So when it comes to personal branding, it's the opposite of what I teach in outbound. You never want to use the word I. You know, like when I'm cold emailing, I'm not gonna be like, you know, I think that you should do this, Carlos, and I came across your profile and I can help you do XYZ.
Welcome to the 1% Edge podcast, where we dive into the journeys of extraordinary guests committed to getting 1% better. Today's topic, AI-powered personal branding. You know, we all ask ourselves, hey, is my LinkedIn profile or content really attracting the right audience? Does it represent my own personality? How do I navigate this LinkedIn algorithm to get the most out of my content or make sure it's reaching the right audience? All those questions I have no answers to. So thank God that Mandy McEwen is joining us today. She is the founder of Luminetics and Mod Girl Marketing. Welcome, Mandy.
Thanks for having me, Carlos.
Well, I'm happy to get you. I know we went back and forth. You're busy. You've been traveling the world. So I'm happy that I could get you in time.
Yes, likewise. I'm finally here. I made it.
Now, this will come out later in 2026, but by then you probably hit another 5 countries.
I've slowed down a little bit in the past 12 months, but still a lot.
You might be maturing. Who knows?
I might be.
So, all right, for our audience, why don't we start out with kind of like setting the stage? You know, like, what do you mean by personal branding? Or, you know, because maybe it means a lot of things to different people. And then we can dive into how do we make it better, especially as we look at LinkedIn or other tools like that out there.
Absolutely. So we are living in an age where personal branding is a non-negotiable, especially with AI, because now more than ever, you have to stand out and you have to seem human. Now, Carlos, like you and I, back in the day before AI or even social media was a thing, we were doing old school relationship building in business, like, you know, people did before all of these cool tech things even existed, right? So we have to actually go back to that, the fundamentals of what makes people like, know, and trust other business professionals. And that is why personal branding is so crucial. So it's really the intersection of your how, your why, and your what. So, you know, what are you doing exactly? How are you doing it in a way that makes you different to your unique target audience? And why are you doing this? Why they should listen to you? And if you have, for everyone listening to this, if you have a LinkedIn profile, you have a personal brand, period. Whether you want a personal brand or not, if you have a LinkedIn profile, then you have one. Of course, if you never log in, that's a different story. But as a professional, it doesn't matter what your job title is, whether you're an entrepreneur, a salesperson, a marketer, in HR, whatever it is. I can promise you, if you build a personal brand, it's going to help your career, period. Because you are going to stand out and you are going to position yourself as someone who is different and someone who is worth whatever you are asking. Because you know, your network is your net worth, which we've been saying for decades now. Now that's more important than ever. And so that is why I'm so passionate about helping people establish a personal brand that is actually authentic and drives conversation and opportunities.
All right. So, Mandy, let me throw out some scenarios out there because I'm thinking about like some of my friends that might be listening to this.
Okay.
And some of them might be older, like my age, and they think, you know, I'm a senior executive. I work for a company. I mean, you know, what does it matter if I have a big personal brand on LinkedIn, right? You know, my identity I've already built a whole bunch of professional relationships. You know, let's take that scenario first, and then I got a couple others for you.
Sure. So if you're going to retire soon, this isn't relevant to you, right? But even people that retire, so we work with the majority of we have a lot of, you know, 50 plus, 60 plus even professionals that work with us for us to help them establish their personal brand. Because even as high performers, they get bored and they start their own businesses anyway. Like they never really retire, right? So it's like they've got, unless they're balling out of control and don't want to do anything, that's a different story. But a lot of people that even retire with their job, they're doing something else too. They're starting something, they have a partner, they started a company, maybe they're just consulting on the side for fun, even if they don't need the money, they're just doing it. So regardless, unless you're planning to fully retire and do absolutely nothing, then you need a personal brand. And the reason is because most people, who we're talking about, those professionals that have, been experienced and been building relationships for 20, 30 plus years, they're not maximizing those relationships though. So to answer your question, your friends are going to be like, oh, I already have all these connections, but what are you doing with them? Nothing. You're not doing anything, right? So maximize those. And the way you do that is by building your personal brand, posting content, keeping in touch with those people, re-engaging with them. This isn't just a what people see on the front end. So when I'm talking about, and this is a misconception people have too, that personal branding is all about social media and posting content and looking cool. It's not. There's so much that goes on the back end. I would not have the personal brand I have now with hundreds and thousands of followers across every social media platform if it wasn't for my relationship building skills. Not to mention revenue. I wouldn't be sitting here as a 15-year entrepreneur when most entrepreneurs, this probably better than me, Carlos. What is it? Like less than 2 years startups fail? What is that?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen
something like that.
Even 2 years seems like a long run for some
It
of them.
does. That's exactly right. So I wouldn't be here now after all of these years if it wasn't for my relationship building skills. And that's what people don't see. It's the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. It's you keeping in touch with people, you nurturing those relationships you have, those connections that you've built, because you never know what opportunities could happen when you're doing that. So it's not just I'm posting great content, I'm providing value, I'm helping people for free and not asking anything in return. It's I'm keeping relationships going. I'm randomly reaching out to people. I'm checking in. I'm following up, right? I'm keeping those relationships going. And so that is my answer to your question is all of these things matter. And it doesn't matter what your age is or where you're at in your career, unless, like I mentioned, you're literally about to retire and do nothing.
I like the balling piece as well. All right, so let me give you the other end of the spectrum. Hey, I'm in my early 20s, I'm in my mid 20s or late 20s, and I got an SDR, BDR job, and I'm working for a company. I don't have any content to post. Would you advise people like that?
So easy. Your company has endless content for you. You have a marketing team. Your marketing team has lots of content. They have blogs, they have stuff. You probably don't like the content to post on your LinkedIn, but that's what AI is for. You can train AI to help you reposition that content, repurpose that content in a way that sounds like you. So that's why we built our Next Wave membership, our Lumi Post Writer. We have a whole AI system for exactly what I just said. And we do this, we help sales teams do exactly what I just said. This happens a ton. I hear that all the time. I don't know what to post. I don't have time. I'm like, but your marketing team has endless content for you. And all you have to do is know how to use that to then post your own thought leadership content, because you can't just take what marketing has. Most marketers, I'm a marketer, mind you. I actually love marketing more than I do sales, but I have to do both, obviously. And so as a marketer, I can tell you that most marketers don't know how to drive engagement and results on LinkedIn specifically. They just don't. Unless they were trained on that, they've got too much going on. They're doing a million different things. They're doing blogs, they're doing press releases, they're doing every social media channel. They don't have the time to be an expert in LinkedIn. So you can't expect to take marketing's content and have it perform really well on your LinkedIn, because it's not. It's totally different when you're doing stuff on your personal LinkedIn versus the company LinkedIn, because you have to seem like you're the credible expert and you're sharing your unique point of view and your story. So when it comes to personal branding, it's the opposite of what I teach in outbound. You never want to use the word I. Like when I'm cold emailing, I'm not gonna be like, I think that you should do this, Carlos, and I came across your profile and I can help you do XYZ. You want to actually remove all I's if you can. And personal branding and content, it's the opposite. You want to tell your unique story. When I was, last week when I was talking to my client, this happened. Or, when I was 23 in my first SDR role, I thought that XYZ, tell your story, tell your unique point of view. That's what gets people to trust you, follow you, and want to actually respond to your outreach. It's not copying and pasting or just clicking the repost button on your company content. That's a bare minimum of what you should do. It's better than doing nothing, but that's not what I'm considering a personal brand.
All right. So let's talk platform and tools. And this is going to, break this up pieces. So when I think about platforms, we already mentioned it. It seems like LinkedIn, it's the Facebook of business in a way. And is that the main tool to use, or are there others as well that, because like, for example, I had someone say, Carlos, you should post some of your stuff on Instagram. And I go, well, that's not where my target buyer really is. Mm-hmm. And they said, yeah, maybe not, but there's a part of the population that will start there versus LinkedIn. And if you ever want to reach them, you got to be where they're at. So any advice on what should be our primary platform and what might be some secondary ones for us to post on?
Yeah, really good question. Everything is changing so fast, Carlos. So my answer is if you would have asked me this 2 years ago, I would have given you a different answer than I'm about to give you because of AI and how search engines are working and how literally the entire digital landscape is changing because of AI. So if you're just starting out and you don't have the resources, common sense, just go where your people go. So for you, Carlos, if your target audience is mostly spending time on LinkedIn, then start there. You're going to burn yourself out and your money and your sanity if you try to go everywhere. Okay. So focus first on where your people spend the most time. With that said, because of how AI is working, the more platforms you're on, the more you're going to show up in these LLMs. So ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, all of them, they are looking at every social media platform out there. They are ranking Instagram posts. Google, is ranking Instagram posts, LinkedIn posts, YouTube is massive. Like for me, YouTube and LinkedIn. I just started getting serious on LinkedIn or on YouTube this year, and I'm out of YouTube videos now right when it starts ramping up. I'm getting tons of requests from YouTube, and my team's like, you're out of videos. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much work. So it's a lot of work to be everywhere. I personally have people that I pay to help me with these things. I have endless content because I've been doing this forever, but you will find me on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. You will find me everywhere. And I'm posting multiple times a week, or my team is, as me, because I want to have that omnipresence approach. Now, I've been doing this, what I just said, for a very long time, right? But I'm getting more serious about it. Blogs, SEO-friendly blogs, so you can show up more in searches. Everything, how people are using the internet is also changing. Less people are going to Google. They're going more to ChatGPT. So you have to also consider, like, what are your goals and priorities, and start small and then gradually work your way up. You can't just go all in if you're just starting out, right? Now, if you have the resources to do that, amazing, hire people to do that for you. So I would say you're right, Carlos, with starting with LinkedIn. And it's always a test. Like if you're like, I don't know if my people are on Instagram, test it out. Give it 2 months. Be consistent and see what happens, You might be shocked though. I actually got right when I launched our Next Wave membership to the public. We've had it for a year. It's our AI forward go-to-market membership for founders and sellers. I had no idea that people were looking at my stuff on Instagram, and I sold like that $1,000 package from a DM on Instagram, and I just happened to log in. I don't even log in hardly to my Instagram at all, and I just happened to log in that day and see her message, and I was like, and she's like, I want to get in. You just closed the doors. Like, will you let me in? And I'm like, what? I just got a customer from Instagram. This is amazing. My team is doing stuff and I don't even pay attention to it. So you might think, Carlos, that you don't have people on Instagram. You probably do.
Well, it's funny. So when I started the podcast at the beginning of this, 2025, I'm just going to put a post on Instagram. I'm going to dust that thing off. And I just did like a post. And then, I don't know, a month later, I'm at our local brewery, and the owner of the brewery, which I know, pops his head up and goes, "Hey, Carlos, great podcast." I'm like, Paul, how did you find his name's Alan? Alan, how'd you find our podcast? Because you posted it on Instagram. I saw it.
Exactly.
So like, you said, you never know where people are listening.
Know.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's say that LinkedIn is our primary place to do it. Mm-hmm. And then, as you can't have a podcast where I'm talking about AI. What I've seen is like when you look at the top AI platforms, what comes up of places that they look for stuff, Reddit and Wikipedia are in the top 3 across all the top players.
Yep.
I go, I have no presence on either one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you need to go do? Or, hey, it just depends on what you're trying to do.
No, you don't need those. Now, if you have the resources, I've been learning some crazy stuff about Reddit lately. It's wild, man. This whole world is crazy. There's like companies that have hundreds and thousands of bots that are training that look like real people that are using Reddit to manipulate things and show up in AI. It's a wild time. What a time to be alive, is what I say. But no, you don't need to do that. I got one of my biggest clients this year, a global media company, and they found me in Chat GPT by asking something very specific. And I don't even have a blog. I do now, on the Luminetics website. Now I've been blogging for Mod Girl Marketing, modgirlmarketing.com, my umbrella company, if you will, literally since 2010. Endless blogs there, really high rankings in Google, shows up in ChatGPT, the LLMs, etc. The Luminetics website, it's newer. I started that brand in 2021. We had no blog. And yet, because of my social media presence and the fact that I've just been posting online for 15 years, and the ChatGPT gods are associating Mandy McEwen with Luminetics when they typed in modern global LinkedIn training company for sales teams. So very specific, modern, global, all those things. It took them together and bam, I showed up. And she was like, you were like 1 of 5 people and you were by far the best choice. And so we hired you. And I was like, that's amazing. Thanks, ChatGPT. And I hadn't even, the SEO was not great. I'm an SEO nerd too. That's how I started way back in the day. And I was like, I didn't even try. And it still showed up. And of course, we're not doing Reddit, So when we're talking about founders, solopreneurs, small business owners, they're not going to have the time and resources to do all of these things. So the easiest thing is to just start posting content on social media and be consistent.
Okay. All right. So a lot of folks, in fact, I just saw a little LinkedIn survey. Someone asked, like, how often do you use AI? And it was like 70 some odd % all said every day.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks, when you think, okay, I got to write something now for a post, a lot of people run it through AI. Mm-hmm. And, it'll show up those funny little emojis. It does those long, what do you call those long tabs, long dashes? M dashes. Mm-hmm. And when you look at it, you go, yeah, they definitely use ChatGPT to write this. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on that whole, how do you best leverage AI, but still sound like a human being?
Yes. So you just teed me up for a shameless little self-promo, but it's going to be helpful as well. That is why you build custom GPTs if you can. So we built our Lumi, or you can just work with us and get our membership. So our Lumi Post Writer is a custom GPT that we trained on hundreds of high-performing posts. We trained it. It doesn't sound like AI. It doesn't put M dashes. It doesn't put hashtags and weird emojis or use words like revolutionary and synergy and all of those cheesy words that AI uses, right? So if you want a massive shortcut, and we have a whole system that clones you, it sounds just like you, whatever, hit me up. Now, if you don't and you want to DIY this, you have to know how to train AI, period. Even if you're just doing prompts, you have to train it. You have to upload your own writing samples. You have to tell it not to use, or by the way, pro tip, you can't just say don't use M dashes. You have to tell it what to replace it with. So if you don't want an LLM, it doesn't matter if you use Claude. By the way, I like ChatGPT only because I built a whole suite of 10 plus custom GPTs for our members in it. However, Claude is better, in my opinion, at writing just without any training. I prefer Claude. I pay for both Claude and ChatGPT, by the way. My entire membership is ChatGPT because of custom GPTs, but I prefer Claude. So for those of you listening, try both. Tell it though, instead of using M dashes, please replace it with a comma or start a new sentence. You can't just say don't use M dashes. So whenever you guys are working with LLMs and you're prompting it, you have to give it an alternative. So you have to learn the art of prompting a little bit. That's why, like with our membership, I say it's promptless because we already trained it on everything. Like these custom GPTs, you literally just get it. You don't have to prompt them. It's already highly trained. With everything else, you got to know what you're doing. Otherwise, you're going to look like a fool. Like you said, you're going to look like, oh, that screams ChatGPT. So upload your writing samples, tell it what you want, tell it what you don't want. and use the same thread. If you don't build custom GPTs, I don't care if you use Perplexity, Claude, Gemini. Gemini is really good now too, by the way. They've done a lot of really cool things. It's pretty awesome as well. Just be smart about it, and you have to know how to talk to it so that you don't look like a robot. Because the fastest way for you to lose credibility when it comes to building your personal brand is by having everyone think that you're just copying and pasting from AI. That's going to do more harm than good. You're better off not posting anything than posting garbage from AI and people being like, oh, that Carlos guy, I don't know about him.
He's got somebody out there just typing into ChatGPT with stuff, and they're just printing it out. All right, yeah. So on LinkedIn, I have spent this year trying to put more content out there. I do these 2 carousels a week with tips on them. I was doing 2 podcasts a week. Now I'm only releasing 1 podcast a week. And I always post on there, hey, check out my latest podcast. Here's what we talked about. Mm-hmm. And, one challenge about like this LinkedIn algorithm, you know, how do you maximize your content so it has the reach and it's getting to the right audience? And whatever your answer is, Mandy, I am sure by the time this podcast comes out, that the things changed already as well. But I'd love to get your opinion. How do you deal with that algorithm today to get the most out of it?
Yeah, I will give you an answer that's going to help anyone listening forever. Even if the algorithm changes in a month from now, I'm going to give you 2 answers: what's working now and what will always work. So let's talk about what's working now and what's changed with the LinkedIn algorithm. We are now seeing our posts have more life. And by that, I mean, they are alive for weeks now. Have you noticed that, Carlos? You'll be on LinkedIn and you'll see someone's post from 3 weeks ago pop up. Have you noticed that?
I just had one of mine from 3 weeks ago pop up, which it usually doesn't happen.
Exactly. So,
in fact, I heard once you post, it stops promoting your old post.
And it doesn't. It doesn't. So that's not true, especially now. So LinkedIn is trying to be more like the other platforms with their algorithm, which is a relevancy-based algorithm, kind of like TikTok. So TikTok, you can go viral and get 1 million followers in a week starting from 0 if you post the right content, because TikTok is showing people posts based on relevancy, based on what they're already looking at. Now, before this year, LinkedIn was doing mostly a network-based algorithm, meaning people in your network and then their network. So if I comment on Carlos, if I comment on one of your posts, my network's going to see Mandy McEwen commented on this. And maybe that's, if those people aren't in your network, that's pretty much the only way they're going to see it, or one of the main ways. Now it's more of a relevancy-based platform. This was always kind of a thing, but they're putting more emphasis on this now, meaning you can show up for complete strangers now more than ever based on the types of content that you're posting. And with that comes a longer shelf life. So it used to be your post is like dead in 48 hours. People aren't going to see it after that, which was really annoying. You put all this time into it, and then your post is just like, oh, the first hour matters the most, which the first hour is still really important, by the way. The more comments and engagement you get in the first hour is going to help show LinkedIn that this is worthwhile. But even then, I read an algorithm report yesterday from my friend Richard Vanderbaum, who's an algorithm expert. And even then, sometimes they throttle it after 60 minutes, even now with the algorithm changes. So you don't know. We can't be chasing the algorithm. Sometimes we have no idea why they do these things. However, the cool thing now is that the relevancy-based algorithm is going to allow you to show up for more strangers and for a longer period of time. So I am constantly seeing my friends post from 5 days ago, from 2 weeks ago, from 3 weeks ago. I am getting comments and likes on stuff from randos from 3 weeks ago. And I'm like, how do they fit? Because that's the way the algorithm is now. So you don't have to post as much either, Carlos. So because of this algorithm, you can post less as long as it's quality content, and you're still going to get the views and the visibility if it's good content. So before, it's like, we need to be posting multiple times. I never posted a lot like this, but sometimes I would do 2 posts a day, which is a lot to keep up with comments and everything. It's a lot of time. But now, with the way things are shifting, sometimes I don't even post every day. A lot of times I'm posting every day, but sometimes I'll go a couple days without posting, and it does not matter because the rest of my content is great. So what will never change is having a great hook, to capture people's attention right out of the gate. So the hook is the very first sentence that people see. That's never going to change. So you need to have a strong hook that captures people's attention so they click that read more button or see more button and they want to actually read it. That is always an algorithm factor, and that's never going to go away. The second thing is really common sense. Just have great content that helps people, period. And then personal stuff. Share your personal stories, share what's going on in your life, however personal you want to get. You don't have to get crazy here and talk about like what you eat for dinner or breakfast, or talk about a dramatic, relationship story or whatever. You don't have to do all of these things, but the algorithm also likes when you switch up your content and the type of content. So mix it with images, mix it with text only, mix it with videos, with carousels like you're doing, Carlos. All those different formats tells the algorithm that you are posting a variety of content and they're going to show your content to more people. And the last thing I'll say here is commenting. That is bigger than anything. So if there's one tip that people are going to take away from this that I don't think is going to change anytime soon, LinkedIn is placing even more emphasis on commenting. And we have something called the engagement sandwich strategy, which means you comment before you post and you comment after you post. So spend at least 5 minutes commenting, 5 to 15 minutes commenting before you post, then post, and then spend another 5 to 15 minutes commenting after you post. And I promise you there is an actual difference. We've tested this. LinkedIn absolutely rewards you and shows your post to more people when you are active right before you actually post.
Yeah, someone told me post once a day, comment 10 times a day.
Mm-hmm. If you can, yeah, that's the way to do it. And a lot of people that in our Next Wave community, they're getting significantly more impressions on their comments than their own posts. Like we're talking like 50,000 impressions on a comment.
Oh. Mm-hmm. All right. And you kind of answered this just to make sure. So, because people are like, okay, it's not just text. You got to use video. Nope, it's not video. It's carousels. Nope, it's pictures. You got to be more authentic with just some real pictures. You said use all of them. Is there one that's better than another?
You don't have to use all of them. Pick your favorites. That's easiest. Also, like I don't want people to think that this is going to be a full-time job for them to start posting on LinkedIn and build a personal brand there. My goal is to make it easier for everyone. And that's why I created my Next Wave membership to help speed up this process and still being authentic with AI to speed it up. But if you are good on camera, absolutely do video. If you're not yet comfortable, you don't have to do video. If carousels are a pain in your ass, which they are, with AI, it's easier. But Carlos, you make them, you post them. You got to get a rhythm down and know what you're doing. But maybe don't do those right away. You could just stick with images and text only if you want. Polls, throw polls in the mix. Post a poll once a month. So you don't have to do all of them. You need to figure out what works for you and what is best for you and then switch it up. So there's no like right answer. Now, video drives the most credibility and revenue, not the most impressions, unless you're one of those trending, on mobile, Carlos, when you log in and it shows you like the feed you can scroll through the vertical videos. And it's like stupid topics like what I do before my 9 to 5 or, workplace, tips or whatever it is. Those are the ones that like go viral because it's like LinkedIn is telling you like, this is what we want you to post about. So those videos get a lot of impressions. You can click on it and it will have a button that you can click and it'll like make your own. So it's like a day in the life, and it's showing you those. It's like a category on LinkedIn mobile. And if you click this button that's like make your own day in the life, they're going to show that to more people because you're doing what they want. I've never done that. So spoiler alert, I've never done that once. I just post my own videos. Now, of course, if you have a funny video or something super cool, it might go viral, but a lot of times it's not. You're not going to be super happy with your impressions. However, because we're on camera, it's going to drive more conversations and more revenue because people feel like they know you more, right? So you also can't look at vanity metrics. My stupid post about nothing go viral. Like I just posted about me in a Cybertruck. I drove my friend's Cybertruck all last week in the Bay Area. I'm in Northern California right now. You saw it. 40,000 impressions.
Wow.
Ridiculous. And it was like 4 sentences. Do you like my ride this week? It drives me more than I drive it. Guess who I'm picking up? Guess who I'm driving around? And it was my, fractional CRO Lindsay Rios. And so people were commenting like, you know, "Ooh, ooh, ooh," and I like blurred out her in the comments. So I'm doing things also to like get engagement also, like guess who I'm driving around. It's a picture of me and Lindsay with an emoji over her head, you know? So, and people knew because her hair color. So anyway, it's little stuff like that that's like, and I got like 400 profile viewers and like 20 new followers from a stupid, and then people like arguing about how terrible the Cybertruck is. I'm like, man, people have really strong feelings about Cybertrucks. So it was wild. And like all of my travel posts, those always do really, really well. You know, whenever I'm talking and I post about my life in Hawaii when I live there part time, when I'm traveling all over in these different countries, all of those do really well. And they have nothing to do with business because it's me as a human and I'm showing my personal side. So when I'm talking about switching up the formats, I'm not just talking about text versus carousel versus images. I'm also talking about what are you posting and switching that up, because no one wants to follow someone who's just posting about their business 24/7. That is boring. But don't overdo it either. You know, this isn't Facebook, but you need to have an element of Facebook on your LinkedIn profile if you're going to actually build loyal followers that trust you. I've landed clients literally from my Nomad post because we started conversations about travel, you know, and that wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have been doing that. And on my profile, I'm like, ask me what country I'm going to next. In my headline, I even put like island nomad because I love islands. Like there's little things I do that make me stand out and people remember me because of that. And that is a big tip for everyone listening. Don't just talk about business 24/7. Find what makes you different in general as a human, whatever that is, and put it in your profile. Talk about it, share that side of you, because you will be amazed at how many conversations will come from that.
Love it. All right, Mandy. So obviously, like you said, you've been doing this for a while. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Oh, loaded question. Okay, so when it comes to what I am working on most these days is I've already mentioned it multiple times, but we are so excited about our Next Wave membership. And that is our AI powered membership for founders and sellers. And there's nothing like this out there right now, which is why I'm so excited about it. So we have created a system to help you establish your unique point of view, optimize your LinkedIn profile, start posting amazing content in your own voice, a lot more than you're doing now, know how to message people and start conversations, know what email copy, what LinkedIn message copy is going to resonate with people, know how to research your prospects, all of this in record time with AI. And we've powered it with a community. So a Slack community, a membership. Lindsay and I go live a couple times a month to help them out. And we're super stoked about it because it's already getting amazing results for people within the first 30 days. So people are saying things like, wow, I haven't been this clear on my business in 10 years. I've been trying to come up with my messaging, and in 15 minutes, I have done something that I haven't done in 10 years. You know, and it's funny because we're taking it back to the fundamentals too. And that's why we have something truly unique, is because we're not just saying, here's a bunch of AI tools that we've trained. They're highly trained on 15 plus years of experience and knowing what works and driving, you know, lots of revenue for us and our clients over 15 years. It's not just that. It's let's go back to what were we doing before AI? You know, what were we doing? Like I mentioned earlier, going back to the fundamentals of coming up with, this is why I'm passionate about what I'm doing. I truly believe and have conviction that this is helping businesses or humans. It is improving people's lives some way, and believing that to your core, and then coming up with a positioning and messaging that portrays that in the right way. Because that's kind of the hardest part for a lot of entrepreneurs is, I know I'm good at what I do. I believe in it. I'm passionate about it. But how do I translate that publicly for the world to know that, you know, in a way that resonates? And that's why I'm so excited about what we're doing, is because a lot of entrepreneurs, they're all over the place. I can work with these people, and I can offer this service and this service. And you're like, what are you doing, man? Everyone's confused. Like pick something and stick with it, you know, and position yourself around that. Then everything is more clear. Your messaging is more clear, your posts are more clear, et cetera, et cetera. So we're really going all in on that in 2026 and coming up with new funnels. I'll have another free custom GPT I'm going to give people. Right now I have a free course and one in there now, if you guys want to grab it. And then, you know, I am traveling the globe while I do this as well. So I'm excited about my upcoming Brazil Carnival trip that's happening in February. I know. I'm super stoked for that. So I've never been. So I'm trying to live my best life while doing some big things in my business. So that is a very short version of your question about me.
All right. And this is intended to be a short question. So what's that one thing you're working on these days to get 1% better? What's your 1% edge these days?
Oh man, that's a really
And
good.
I'm trapping you into one,
I
although
know
I'm
it's
sure you
definitely
got
a big
many.
one. Okay, systems. So every day I am looking at what we're doing because we're trying to scale what we're having, right? So we have a scalable. I mean, I can't clone myself. I do actually have a clone of myself in Hey Jen. So I do technically have a clone, but she can't host live sessions for teams. So I train teams all the time. I train sales teams on LinkedIn, right? We've got that down. So systems is how I'm getting 1% better every day. I'm looking at what we're doing with our Next Wave membership. How are we systematizing all of this and leveraging AI? So leveraging AI workflows and systems and doing that, looking at everything every single day. Even an example, today and yesterday, I was looking at, okay, so when we launched again, we had a Black Friday offer we opened up the doors again to our Next Wave membership. It was closed. It's closed right now. And then I'm looking at WooCommerce on WordPress set up with our active campaign and the revenue that's coming in per person. Some of it's messed up. Well, then I need reports every time we launch something. So I know, this is how many people bought this individual bought these 3 things, this email had this many opens, these people came from this email, all of those things. I need systems for that with AI that can just do that for me. I don't want to manually be going in there and doing that. So that's literally what I'm working on right now. And this is a forever thing, as with businesses and new offers, it's like, it's always a process of what systems can I create to make our life easier and scalable. So that is my 1% thing, because I'm a creative. This is not my strong suit, like systems and processes. I'm the type that's like, let's just go build it. Let's do it. And I'm a people person. I'm not the type that's like, that's why I need people around me that are more of that mindset of the operations and making things flow efficiently, because I'm just like, go, go, go. And I'm like, wait, we got to figure this out systematically. So that's my answer.
That's one of the toughest things as an entrepreneur, right? If you're the creative, how do I hand off the operational side, and how can somebody do it and care as much as you do?
Well, that's
Right?
the kicker, man, is the care as much as you do, and then not being a control freak like I am sometimes with my business, because it's our babies. Like, no one's going to love it like we do, period.
Yeah. It
You
feeds our
know?
families, so that's what really matters.
Exactly. So you also have to have the right expectations of like, no one's going to treat it like you do. So don't have unrealistic expectations, but try to find the right people who at least care.
Yeah, I mean, in my businesses, like I'll tell you, one of my biggest mistakes is holding on to people that
Too
don't
long.
fit
Same.
the thing too long. You
Same.
give them all the chances in the world, and like it just doesn't, it ain't working out.
I know.
And then I'm talking to one of my partners in one of my businesses, and I go, I guess the people we want to be are the ones that hold on to somebody too long versus the ones that fired someone too quick.
Well, they say hire
Or
slow, fire fast. So
they do, it's like, it's a tough one. And we got to do a better job we're getting better at it, right? Like when we find something's not working, it's usually the first thing to say, like for one of my businesses, I've been doing it almost 13 years. And I go, we've never had someone that's turned it around. Like once we found a flaw or it didn't fit in 13 years, I've never seen one person go, yep, I got it. I understand. I'm going to flip this around and I'm going to turn it around. Not once.
Well, now you know, Carlos, you got to let them go. You got one red flag and you're out.
I don't want to be that person either. So we do give people chances. We're the land of endless chances. All right, Mandy, it was great talking to you. If people want to get a hold of you, learn more about your business, hire you folks, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Yeah, LinkedIn. I know it's a shocking answer, but hit me up on LinkedIn. Mention that you listen to this podcast with Carlos and I'd be happy to help you out. And all my free goodies are on there as well. So
excellent. Well, thank you so much, Mandy. Really appreciate you being on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Carlos. It's been fun.
All right, everyone. That does it for this week's episode. If you found some value in it, please comment back and subscribe. I'm trying to catch up to Mandy somehow, some way. I greatly appreciate you all listening in. And until next time, I wish you nothing but the greatest success. Thanks again, Mandy.
Thanks.